Hi, my name is Shinko. Welcome to my channel. We have been escaping from reality with The Warriors Into the Wild by Erin Hunter. Because real life sucks right now. Humans suck. Cats, much better. So we left off with Ravenpaw finding out that Tactaclaw doesn't want him around. Firepaw promising that he's going to help Ravenpaw out of this. Do you think that's a promise he can keep? Let's go. Graypaw padded into the den at dawn. Sandpaw and Dustpaw had returned from their patrol a while ago and were asleep in their nests. Hi, mewed Graypaw, sounding more cheerful than he had for days. Firepaw woke at once. You sound better, he purred. Graypaw licked Firepaw's ear. Spotted Leaf put some gunk on my cut and made me lie still for hours. I must have fallen asleep. By the way, I hope that chaffinch out there was for me. I was starving. It was. Ravenpaw caught it yesterday. Tigerclaw sent him into... Shut up, you two, growled Sandpaw. Some of us are trying to sleep. Graypaw rolled his eyes. Come on, Firepaw, he mewed. Brindleface has had her kits. Let's go and visit them. Firepaw purred with pleasure. At last, something for ThunderClan to celebrate. He looked down at Ravenpaw, who was still sleeping, and padded out of the den. With Graypaw, he trotted across the clearing towards the nursery. The rising sun made his pelt glow with warmth, and he stretched appreciatively, reveling in the suppleness of his spine and the strength of his legs. Stop showing off, Graypaw called over his shoulder. Firepaw stopped stretching and bounded after his friend. Whitestorm was sitting outside the nursery, guarding the entrance. Have you two come to see the new kits? He meowed as Firepaw and Graypaw approached. Firepaw nodded. One at a time only, and you'll have to wait. Bluestar's with her now, Whitestorm told them. Well, you could go first, Firepaw offered. I'll go and see Yellowfang while I'm waiting. He dipped his head respectfully to Whitestorm and headed off towards Yellowfang's nest. The old cat was washing behind her ears, her eyes half closed with concentration. Don't tell me you're expecting rain, Firepaw teased. Yellowfang looked up. You've been listening to too many elder tales, she meowed. What with the point of a cat washing its ears if they're only going to get rained on anyway? Firepaw's whiskers twitched with amusement. Are you going to see Brindleface's new litter? He asked. Yellowfang stiffened. She shook her head. I don't think I'd be very welcome, she growled. But they know you saved, Firepaw began. A she-cat is very protective of her newborns, especially when it's her first litter. I think I'll stay away. Yellowfang replied in a tone that invited no argument. As you wish, but I'm going to go see them. It must be a good sign, having new kids in the camp. Yellowfang shrugged. Sometimes, she muttered darkly. Firepaw turned and trotted back to the nursery. Clouds had covered the sun, making the air turn fresher. A fierce breeze tugged at her spur and rustled the leaves around the clearing. Bluestar was sitting outside the nursery. Behind her, Graypaw's tail was just disappearing into the narrow entrance. Firepaw, she greeted him. Have you come to see the ThunderClan's newest warriors? The ThunderClan leader sounded tired. Firepaw was surprised. Surely kids were good news for ThunderClan. Well, yes, I have. Well, when you're finished, come and see me in my den. Yes, Bluestar, Firepaw mewed as she walked slowly away. He felt his fur prickle. Here was another chance to speak to Bluestar alone. Perhaps StarClan was on his side after all. Graypaw crawled out of the nursery entrance. They're really cute, he mewed. But I'm starving now. I'm off to find some fresh kill. I'll save some for you if I find any. He blinked affectionately at Firepaw and bounded away. Firepaw purred a goodbye and looked up at Whitestorm, who nodded his permission for him to enter the nursery. Firepaw squeezed through the tiny entrance. 4 tiny kits huddled warmly in Brindleface's deeply lined nest. Their fur were pale gray with darker flecks, just like their mother, except for one tiny dark gray tom. They mewed and they squirmed beside Brindleface's belly, their eyes shut tight. How are you feeling? Firepaw whispered to her. A little tired, answered Brindleface. She looked down proudly at her litter. But the kids are all strong and healthy. ThunderClan is lucky to have 'em, Firepaw purred. I was just talking about them to Yellow Fang. Brindleface didn't answer, and Firepaw couldn't miss the look of worry that flashed in her eyes as she nudged a straying kit closer to her. Firepaw felt a tremor of anxiety in his belly. Bluestar may have accepted Yellowfang into ThunderClan, but it looked like the old cat was still not trusted by all of the clan. He touched his nose affectionately to Brindleface's flank, then turned and made his way out into the clearing. The clan leader was waiting for Firepaw at the entrance to her den. Longtail sat at her side. The pale tabby warrior stared hard at Firepaw as he approached. Firepaw ignored his gaze and looked expectantly at Bluestar. Come inside, she meowed, turning to lead the way. Firepaw trotted after her. Longtail immediately stood up, as if to follow them. Bluestar looked back over her shoulder. I think I'll be safe enough with young Firepaw, she mewed. Longtail looked uncertain for a moment, but then sat down outside the entrance. Firepaw had never been inside Bluestar's den before. He padded after her through the lichen that draped its entrance. Brindleface's kits are lovely, he purred. Bluestar looked serious. Lovely as they may be, they mean more mouths to feed, and the season of leaf bear will soon be here. Then she glanced at Firepaw, who was unable to hide his surprise at her melancholy tone. Oh, don't listen to me, meowed Bluestar, shaking her head impatiently. The first cold wind always worries me. Come, make yourself comfortable. She tipped her head towards the dry, sandy floor. Firepaw dropped onto his belly and stretched his paws out in front of him. Bluestar circled slowly on her mossy nest. I'm still aching from our training session yesterday, she admitted, when she had finally settled herself and curled her tail around her paws. You fought well, young one. For once, Firepaw didn't stop to bask in his praise. His heart was thumping. This was the perfect moment to tell his leader his fears about Tiger Claw. He lifted his chin, ready to speak. But it was Bluestar who spoke first, staring past him at the far wall of her den. I can still smell the stale stench of ShadowClan in the camp, she murmured. I hoped never to see the day when our enemy broke into the heart of ThunderClan. Firepaw nodded in silent agreement, sensing Bluestar was going to say more. So many deaths, she sighed. First Redtail, then Lionheart. I think StarClan, at least the warriors we have left, are strong and loyal like them. At least with Tiger Claw's deputy, ThunderClan might still be able to defend itself. Firepaw's heart plummeted. An icy chill cut deep into him as Bluestar went on. There was a time when Tiger Claw was a young warrior that I feared for the strength of his passion. Such energy can need careful channeling, but now I am proud to see how much respect the clan has for him. I know he is ambitious, but his ambition makes him one of the bravest cats I have ever had the honor to fight alongside. Firepaw knew at once that he could not tell Bluestar his suspicions about Tiger Claw. Not when Bluestar looked to her deputy to protect the whole clan. He would have to save Ravenpaw himself. He took a deep breath and blinked slowly, so that when Blue Star turned and looked directly into his eyes, no trace of his shock and disappointment remained. Her next words were quiet and full of concern. You know, Broken Star will return. He made it clear at the gathering that he wants hunting rights in all the territories. We fought him off once, we could do it again, Firepaw insisted. That's true, Blue Star acknowledged with a roaring nod. StarClan will honor your courage, young Firepaw. She paused and licked a healing wound on her side. I think you ought to know that in the battle with the rats, it was not my 5th life that I lost. It was my 7th. Firepaw sat bolt right, shocked. Blue Star went on. I have let the clan believe it was my 5th because I don't want them to fear for my safety. But 2 more lives, and I will have to leave to join StarClan. Firepaw's mind was racing. Why was she telling him this? Thank you for sharing this with me, Blue Star, he purred respectfully. Blue Star nodded. I'm tired now, she rasped. Off you go. And Firepaw, I don't expect you to repeat this conversation to anyone. Of course, Blue Star, Firepaw replied as he nosed his way up through the curtain of lichen. Longtail was sitting by the entrance. Firepaw stepped past him and made his way towards his den. He didn't know which part of his conversation with Blue Star had been more bewildering. He stopped in his tracks by a yowl of horror coming from the nursery. Frostfur came sprinting into the clearing, her tail bristling and her eyes wide with alarm. My kits! Someone has taken my kits! Tigerclaw bounded over to her. He called to the clan. Quick! Search the camp! White Storm, stay where you are. Warriors, patrol the camp boundary. Apprentices, search every den. Firepaw rushed to the nearest den, the warriors, and pushed his way inside. Empty. He scrabbled through the bedding with his paws, but there was neither sight nor scent of Frostfur's kits. He charged outside and headed for his own den. Ravenpaw and Greypaw were already inside, pushing aside their nests, sniffing every corner. Dustpaw and Sandpaw were searching the Elder's den. Firepaw left them to it and charged from one clump of grass to another, pushing his muzzle into them, ignoring the nettles that stung his nose. There was no sign of the kits anywhere. He looked around the camp boundary. Warriors paced backward and forward, urgently sniffing the air. Suddenly, Firepaw spotted Yellowfang in the distance. She was pushing her way through an unguarded part of Fern Wall. She must have found a scent, he thought, and raced towards her as his tail disappeared into the greenery. By the time he arrived at the Fern Wall, she was gone. He sniffed the air. No kit scent, just the bitter smell of Yellowfang's fear. What was she afraid of? Firepaw wondered. Tigerclaw's yowls sounded from the bushes behind the nursery. All the cats raced over to him, headed by Frostfur. They crowded as closely as they could, jostling to see the dense undergrowth. Firepaw nosed his way forward and saw Tigerclaw standing over a motionless bundle of dappled fur. Spotted Leaf. Firepaw stared in disbelief at her lifeless body. Fury rose in him like a dark cloud, and he felt the blood roaring in his ears. Who had done this? Blue Star stepped through the crowd and leaned over the medicine cat. She has been killed by a warrior blow, she meowed out loud. Firepaw craned his neck and saw a single wound on the back of Spotted Leaf's neck. His head swam. Suddenly, he was unable to see clearly. Through his grief, Firepaw heard a murmur at the back of the crowd that swelled into a single piercing yell. Yellowfang is gone! Chapter 21. Yellowfang has killed Spotted Leaf and taken my kits! Screeched Frostfur. The other queens rushed to Frostfur's side and tried to calm her with licks and caresses. but Frostfur pushed them away and wailed her grief to the darkening sky. As if in reply, the sky rumbled ominously and a cold wind ruffled the cat's fur. "Yellow Fang!" hissed Tigerclaw. "I always knew she was a traitor. Now we know how she managed to fight off the ShadowClan deputy. It was a setup to let her trick her way into our clan." Lightning cracked overhead, punctuating Tigerclaw's words with a glaring white flash, and a clap of thunder rolled around the woods. Firepaw couldn't believe what he was hearing. Dazed with grief, his blind world. Could Yellowfang have really killed Spotted Leaf? Above the shocked murmurings, Darkstripe meowed loudly. "Bluestar, what do you say?" The cats fell silent as they turned to look at their leader. Bluestar's gaze moved across the crowd of cats, and then settled finally on Spotted Leaf's body. The first drops of rain began to fall. She blinked slowly. Grief clouded her face, and for a moment, Firepaw was afraid that this new death would overwhelm her. But her eyes opened, they glittered with the fierceness that showed her determination to seek revenge for the cruel attack. She lifted her head. "If Yellowfang has killed Spotted Leaf and stolen Frostfur's kits, she will be hunted down without mercy." The crowd mewed approvingly. "But we must wait," Bluestar went on. "There is a storm coming, and I am not prepared to risk more lives. If ShadowClan has our kits, they will come to no immediate harm. I suspect Brokenstar wants them as recruits for his own clan, or as hostages, to force us to let him hunt in our territory. As soon as the storm has passed, a patrol will follow Yellowfang and bring back our kits." I have to end it there. So, Yellowfang was leaving. There was no scent, so it says, of kits there. Spiderleaf is gone. ThunderClan's medicine cat has been slain. Medicine cats are supposed to be safe from conflict. They are supposed to be outside of conflict. So the fact a warrior struck her down, that is against the warrior code. So a serious crime has just happened in ThunderClan. Not to mention kids are gone. Do you think Yellowfang's responsible, though? Let me know. I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there.